First of all, man, you need a crap load of money to get these, to get things done.
Yeah, you're talking about millions of dollars right here, huh?
As you know, software, you constantly have to, put it out into the market and tell you what features they like and what they don't like. You constantly have to build. It's an ongoing process.
I want to change lives. I want to show people how to progress in their money. I want to show people how to progress in their mindset. I want to show people how to progress in their brand, so that way they can take care of their family, take care of their finances, and experience freedom.
Welcome to the Audate show. I'm super excited. Today, on today's episode, I have a special guest. Not only is he a CEO and a founder of a startup company called Louvit, but he's also my dear friend and business partner in the progression Pichathon. This man is literally changing the lives and touching people's lives through God, through his work, through his children, and just through his life. Yafet Daniel, thanks so much for being on the show, Yafet.
Thanks a lot, brother. I'm glad to be here, man. Thanks for reaching out, and I'm excited.
So on this episode, hey, what I want to talk about, number one, is going to be a little bit about Louvit and how that came about, but also what I'm really excited for in the end of 2022, the progression Pichathon as well. So let's tap into both, how we created it and what's to come. So let's talk. So you're the CEO and founder of Louvit. Share with the audience, what is Louvit and how did you get started with it?
Yeah, so Louvit is a simple freelance marketplace for urgent projects, right? Our goal is to connect people to experts around the world instantly. So that's kind of a nutshell of what it is.
And like tap in, because I've heard of freelance marketplaces on a bunch of different platforms. I mean, isn't Fiverr a freelance marketplace where you can connect with different freelancers already?
Absolutely, yeah. Fiverr, Upwork, there's a bunch of different freelance platforms that essentially do what we do. What makes us a bit different is in how we connect you with freelancers, especially for urgent projects. So there's a lot of projects, for example. Well, let me backtrack and let me tell you how I came with the idea. So I remember I was working on a startup called IDK. And at that time, as a non-technical founder, I was just scrambling around trying to figure a way how to get this thing done. My CTO was too busy. He was building the actual product. And I was in charge of marketing and advertising and social media and all this other stuff that actually gets us users. So how do I do that, right? I'm not a graphic designer. I can't design anything, right? I have the idea. I know what it should look like, but I just don't have the technical skills to actually build those things out. So I was looking for different freelancers. I was scrabbling through different freelance platforms, and I just, it wasn't an ideal experience for me, right? I wanted to connect with freelancers on a person-to-person level, right? I wanted to talk to them. I wanted to get to know them. I just didn't want to hire somebody off of a couple of pictures. I wanted them to, hear my voice. I wanted to hear their voice. I wanted us to get to know each other. I wanted the experience to be a little bit more personal, because if I liked them, they would essentially be the people that I would be working with in the future. So I was trying to figure out, how do I make the freelance marketplace, or how do I get, freelancers around the world, and how can I connect with them on a personal level where I can share with them my idea, not just write them a few words of what my idea is about, but how can I get on a Zoom call with them? How can I hear their voice? How can I talk to them about their experience and essentially go through a hiring phase in a few minutes and bring somebody on board to work on my team? So I just feel like the current solutions out there didn't really give me that experience. So I said, and then there's a whole story of how I went from, the previous startup to now working on this.
So you start running one startup, and that startup is like, hey, you know what? In order for me to make this work, because you're not technical, you don't know how to do graphic design, video editing, or ads, or all these other technical elements to marketing. You're saying, hey, I need to find a team, and you're going through all these platforms, trying to figure out which platform to use, and you're having challenges. And in the midst of that storm, in the midst of that challenge, you said, hey, I'm going to create something to support other people who are going through the same challenges themselves. And that's how Louvit was created.
Well, I mean, kind of not. So, the previous startup was called IDK, and it was a dope idea, man. It was essentially, it was a food discovery app. Basically, our mission was to pretty much build an Instagram version of Yelp, right? Create a platform where people can, where we can help people figure out where to go eat, especially if you live around, cities that are full with restaurants, right? We felt like we could help people out. We can help couples and friends and family members get together and help them discover where to go eat. And we started with that startup, but I mean, we were a bit naive, right? We didn't know what we were getting ourselves into. The restaurant industry was extremely difficult to penetrate, especially how you're going to make money, right? And we had all these major ideas, but once we got into the startup world, we realized that first of all, man, you need a crap load of money to get these, to get things done.
Yeah, you're talking about millions of dollars right here, huh?
We're talking about millions of dollars. We started with a few $100,000, and we built our first initial MVP within a few months. We as you know, software, you constantly have to iterate, and we constantly have to build features, and constantly have to put it out into the marketplace, and people are going to tell you what features they like and what they don't like. You constantly have to build. It's an ongoing process. So as an early startup, if you don't have an influx of cash, eventually you're gonna run out of cash. And if you run out of cash, then you're kind of screwed. So we ran out of cash. We underestimated the importance of raising money. We really didn't know what we were doing. We were just two kids that had a brilliant idea.
As a tech founder, what was like the real number one? So now let's transition to tech.
Sure.
As a tech founder, what was the real number one learning curve for you and your co-founder? In hindsight now. So you burned through hundreds of thousands of dollars in cash. I'm sure there's a learning curve in that. And what was that learning curve?
Yeah. So first thing first, like I'm not from the tech industry, right? Like I'm in sales, right? So that's what I did for a living. So I was in sales, and I knew that I needed to get a technical co-founder to help me out because I had this idea and I wanted this idea to come to reality. How do I do it? Right? Okay, go get a tech, go get somebody that knows how to code. And that's what we did, right? A friend of mine from way back in the day, connected with him. He was at a place in his life where he was ready to kind of work on something cool. And we partnered up and we started working on this. But we really had no idea on what it really took to build a successful tech company, right? It's not like building a small business. Building a tech company is essentially a bit different because it requires a lot of cash. It requires a lot of money. And you're doing it for one purpose and one purpose only: to grow as fast as you can, to become as successful as you can within the next 5 to 7 years. So I guess.
So then we transition to Louvit. All right. So now we have the Louvit product. Where are we at in Louvit itself? What stage is it at?
So after the first startup, after we ran out of my first startup, I got into crypto, and I was able to kind of replenish some of the money that I lost in my first startup. So hey, got to get back in the game, right? You can't stay in the sidelines for too long. So I knew that this idea was a serious one, at least for me, because as a builder, as a non-technical founder, I always need technical people around me. So I hired an engineer from out of the country and built a little team. And for the last 6 months, we've built a pretty solid product, and we're actually almost ready for our beta launch.
Amazing. Okay, so now you're in tech, like you're committed to the game in tech right now, without a question, without a shadow of a doubt. You've been in tech for how many years now?
So I mean, deeply in tech, probably 3 years. Yeah, going on a full 3-year term.
So 3 years in tech, and now you have a heart to support other tech founders who are looking to raise money, get in front of investors, and also educate themselves in the tech space. Is that right?
Yeah. So my passion is to help people like myself, right? Like people that have ideas, but that don't have a way, or they don't know how to get started. They don't know what it takes to make it, right? And I'm going through that process as well, right? I'm well in my journey, and I haven't quite made it yet. You know what I mean? So I want to help people like myself. Number one, I want to teach them how to go from zero to prototype, right? Because I can teach you that. I've been there a few times. I can teach you to go from zero to prototype, which is the most important thing. Seeing your idea actually come to life, right? Seeing your idea come to life is super important. Second of all, I want to create this opportunity for people like us, right, to have some type of network or connection with investors, right? Because if you want to build a technology that scales and that brings millions of dollars, you're not going to do it on your own. I mean, you can, but you got to have deep pockets. So how do we bridge that gap? How do we get non-technical founders to build a tech product and connect those people with investors that can help them scale their business from $0 to $1 million or probably more?
So that's access. That's really what it is. It's giving founders access and also giving investors access to each other so that way they can grow that relationship and do what they do, which is grow an actual
Absolutely.
tech business.
Absolutely.
You know,
Like
that,
we've heard this term before, right? Your network is your net worth. And is very true, right? If you don't have access to a network, you don't have access to deep pockets. Like once you once you launch your product, you're gonna need money for marketing, you're gonna need money for advertising. You're gonna have to, you need money to make money. So we need, and there's businesses out there, VCs, that their sole business is to find startups, to invest in startups. Right. And we have to connect, the two groups together.
So I'm excited because that is going to be the first time that you and I are doing that together, which is the Progression Pichathon held in November of 2022.
Yeah, it's gonna be a pretty dope event, man. I think, I think there's a lot of founders out there that are building some really cool products, and there's a lot of investors out there that are just fluxed with so much cash they don't even know what to do with it, right? Like they're buying, JPEG pictures for millions of dollars called NFTs.
Yeah.
So how do we get, how do we get some of that money to come in to the community and invest in products that are changing people's lives?
Well, I mean, that's the thing is access, because you have such amazing founders, such amazing business owners who are just at a point where they're saying, if they had a little bit of gasoline, they can ignite, and then they can grow and they can expand. And many of them don't even understand that that's what they need. Right today, me and my marketing director is putting systems in the business, right? So we're putting energy, we're putting systems in the business where a lot of the things can automate. Now, that's because we have a system. And when you have a system, if you can put more money into the system, more money is the output. So if I put $100 into a business system, I expect $150. That means if I put 1,000, I expect 1,500. If I put $1 million, I expect 1.5 million. So when you have a system, and a lot of these founders have their system built out, they already have their tech, they already have the idea, or they already have the prototype, and it's going to be the next big thing. And what they need is a little bit of money on top of it to allow that to expand. And that's what we're doing, is we're giving them access.
Yeah, man. Like even in our earlier call, we were talking to this developer from Kenya. Man, he was building some incredible fintech product. He was building an incredible fintech product, right?
Yeah, I saw that.
But nobody knows him. Like nobody understands that some kid in a basement somewhere in Nairobi, Kenya, is probably building the next, Coinbase, and people don't even know about it. Exactly, right? Like how do we highlight entrepreneurs in Nairobi, Kenya? How do we highlight products like that? And how do we give him access to all of this VC money that's flowing around? And how do we help people that look like us, right? People that are in the minorities. How do we, first of all, we got to get people to believe that they can raise money, right? We need to help people believe, like, hey, there is a group of investors that are dedicated just to fund businesses like you. So if you have an idea, right, can you grow the balls to actually work on them? Right? If you have an idea, can you suit up? Can you put your vest on, and can you put your boots on, and can you work on your idea? Whether you know how to code, whether you know how to, it doesn't matter. Are you willing to go for it? And I think founders are willing to go for it, and they're going for it. And I think we need to connect those people with the investors. And I think it would be a great experience for both parties.
So as we wrap up, what's your vision for the Pichathon? When we have the Pichathon at the end of the year, what's your vision?
Man, my vision is to create a community, especially out there in Vegas, of number one, a community of investors and founders. Right? Like, that's what's really passionate to me. So I want to create we're going to create a community of technical founders, non-technical founders, and investors, and allow people to see, first of all, even for the public that are not even in the tech space, right? We want them to come to the Pichathon to see what it looks like when a founder decides to, work on an idea and takes it to a place of scale, and they're ready to present it to an investor, right? So it's a 3-step product for me, right? You have the investors, you have the founders, and you have the general public who are willing to come in and to get inspired to see what this process actually looks like.
Man, I'm super excited to be a part of that. To learn more about the Pichathon, go to progressionticket.com. Once again, that's progressionticket.com. Thank you so much, Yafet, for being on the show today.
Appreciate it, bro. Thanks, man.